Hey guys, I've come to make an announcement, but not the one you're looking for. I've actually come to make a different announcement, a more exciting announcement, and it's that I'm working on my own comic series and YouTube series. I am now developing my own YouTube series and comic book, Zen versus the Universe. Wait, I said that already, but I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I'm here to answer some right now. Like what's it about? What's it inspired? Let's start with what it's about. Actually, I should really start with the main idea of this Zen versus the universe idea. It's actually supposed to be it's for those on the spectrum that it's a super to embrace it as a superpower. And how do you suppose I'm going to do that? By doing to Marvel and DC what Shrek does to Disney. For those of you who don't know, Shrek was made by DreamWorks and Universal to attack Disney, to parody Disney, because Jeffrey Katzenberg and David McGeffen and Steven Spielberg made DreamWorks because they were fired from Disney. So there are all these like little parodies at them to make fun of them. That's what I'm doing to Marvel and DC. So it's really basically going to be a parody. But you're probably wondering, how do I write a character? How do I make my own characters? Easy. I can't really tell you what my inspirations are without telling you what inspires this project. Now, the main now I'm gonna tell there are a lot, but I'm just gonna tell you the top like three, and we're gonna start with we're gonna go from least obvious to very obvious. This is Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Of course, Scott Pilgrim is what the character inspired by because of the humor, the way the characters are portrayed, and Scott Pilgrim is one of my favorite movies of all time, especially the animation. I'm a big fan of animation as well. One of the shows that inspired me to be creative as a kid and has inspired my imagination is Phineas and Ferb. So that and the way that it inspires that Phineas and Ferb inspires this project is that the story is it's a kid because these are just this takes place at a during the summer at a summer camp, and the next one is going to be really obvious, the most obvious, because yeah, it takes place in the summer and these kids are very creative and just having a good time. Now for the obvious. Anybody that knows me knows that Matt Stone and Trey Parker are my biggest creative inspirations. So why wouldn't my ideas be like Coon and Friends have inspiration from South Park, specifically the Coon and Friends episodes, because when I'm writing my characters, it's really supposed to be just kids playing superheroes, playing pretend superheroes, but you're seeing that world. like you do like you do in the Coon and Friends episodes. You're seeing the kids, you're seeing what's really happening in the real world, but really you're seeing their fantasy world that they're building, and those are my favorite South Park episodes. Anytime you see them just being kids and dealing with kid things, that because it really, as an adult, it really takes you back and helps you relate to the jokes more. Do and Yeah, while we're on the subject of South Park, everybody always asks me what's my favorite South Park episode that knows me. Coon and Friends. Any Coon and Friends related episode. I also love The Poor Kid because Mysterion, of course. Who's my favorite character? It changes every day. But who's my favorite design character? It changes all the time. But back on subject. So, back on track. You can't really make a superhero universe without being inspired by Marvel and DC. There are a lot more inspirations that I don't have time to go over. We'd be here all day if I did so. But what I'm trying to go for is the way I write a character is I'll take five characters and write down ways that they inspire my character, a character in general, and then take two of them and then show those powers, and just mash it up into a character. Basically, mashing up a character. There, there'll be a series of videos talking about what's gonna happen, like what their characters are, so you guys know more about them, like what their powers, what inspires their character, who they are before. But and I have someone drawing these characters, but so they're not fully done yet. But I thought I'd tell you how I'm writing them, and so you guys know how it's going, just so I can push the needle forward. Now let's move on to the story. So the story takes place at where the main character will eventually go, Lake Stone Parker, which is there's a summer camp at this lake that we're calling Lake Stone Parker because and the whole thing takes place there. It's basically me, I'm the main character. More about that in the next video in this playlist. But but I get bullied by the villain, which is simply the bully. Again, more on that in more coming videos. I have a rough school year, so I go to Lake Stone Parker. I go to the camp at Lake Stone Parker. We'll just go with that. And I make new friends called the Super Franchise. The Super Franchise is like our like Justice League, Avengers, Justice League type parody. More on them in the next coming videos. So yeah, I hope you are looking forward to Zen versus the Universe, and I can't wait to share more.